Hey guys, this is James with Rogue Duelist Trade. Thanks for coming to the channel. Today we have a very exciting discussion, and that is going to be Rise of the Duelist, which is going to be coming in just a few months, hopefully if nothing gets pushed out. Now, if this is your first time on the channel, at Rogue Duelist Trade, we talk about upcoming Yu-Gi-Oh product and whether or not you should be investing your money in order to profit. Now guys, if you like investment discussions on Yu-Gi-Oh, such as singles, product, like this video and subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video so that you guys stay in the up and up. And guys, share this video. If you have friends, Facebook groups, forums that you're a part of, that is really good place for this type of content. Go ahead and share it so we can grow this channel together, and I'll keep making some great content for you guys so then you can think about your investments into Yu-Gi-Oh. And for this video, if you guys are new to these types of discussions, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a full set analysis of Rise of the Duelist with all the information that we have to date. And we're gonna score the set based on predefined metrics that I've made in our RDT model, which is Rogue Duelist Trade, which helps us measure whether or not the risk is high or low so that we can see a return on this set. So if you guys want to understand what each of these metrics mean that we're gonna be going over, check out the description down below. I go over each of those metrics and their definitions, so feel free to check that out. And guys, in addition to the analysis, we're gonna talk about cards that I feel you should invest in that are singles. So these are cards that through my analysis, I've been looking into the marketplace and have not seen an increase in their market value, but I can imagine that they will be seeing an increase with a lot of the support that's going to be coming in Rise of the Duelist. So continue watching so that you guys can see my discussion on singles that you may want to consider investing in. So now let's go ahead and jump right into the analysis for Rise of the Duelist. So Rise of the Duelist is a very interesting set, and I feel like it is going toe-to-toe with Eternity Code, and I feel Eternity Code is a very groundbreaking set for Yu-Gi-Oh, and I feel Rise of the Duelist is starting to approach at that same level. I don't know if at the same degree, but it's fairly close. Right here, the market launch right now, at least for the TCG, is August 7th, 2020. It's a 100 card set, just as any other core set, 50 commons, 26 super rares, 14 ultra rares, 10 secret rares. Now, as I mentioned in Eternity Code, there's gonna be no more rares, no more sneak peeks, no more special editions. We are gonna be having premier events that are replacing sneak peeks, and with everything going on right now with Crush Card Virus, we'll see how these sneak peeks start to pan out. I would think by August, things are gonna be more figured out. Hopefully their distribution is gonna be figured out as well so that we can actually get this product on its release date. Now, if you guys didn't know, and I posted my last video on whether or not to buy Eternity Code, the very next day after I posted the video, we were made aware that Eternity Code is getting pushed out from May into June. So it's getting a 1 month push. So hopefully we're not gonna see that with Rise of the Duelist. In Rise of the Duelist, interestingly enough, there's gonna be no TCG exclusive, which typically we see about 20 different cards that the TCG Konami can just kind of have fun with. A lot of times we're gonna be seeing TCG exclusives like we are in Eternity Code, but here we're actually gonna be getting 20 different OCG imports instead. So guys, I'm gonna quickly breeze through some of the upcoming support that's coming in Rise of the Duelist. Now, we have a lot of support for new archetypes and support for archetypes that already exist. If you guys see the line items with green asterisk, those are some of the archetypes that are actually gonna be getting more support in Rise of the Duelist. So there's a significant amount of cards or cards that are also game-changing for that archetype, or it's a net new archetype altogether. Now, the ones that only have a black asterisk is maybe 1 or 2 cards that are in support of the archetype, but it's very good support. And the cards that do not have asterisks are just cards that are getting some added support, but nothing necessarily groundbreaking. So quickly going through, we have Gaia, Curse Dragon, Catapult Turtle. We're gonna be getting a lot into that very soon. In for Noble Knights, which is essentially Flame Noble Knights, Marfei, Fluffle Frightford, Dark Lord, Machina, Mathmech, Nemesis, Rika, Ancient Warriors, Dragma, Emancipators, Megalith, Dragon Maid, and other generic tech cards, which I would say are some of the money cards in the set, and more. Current card support, buyouts, and values. So this is one of our first metrics, and it's essentially the cards that are currently in the marketplace that are in support of some of the archetypes coming in Rise of the Duelist. And if there's people that are excited about those archetypes, they'd be buying it out right now, which is what we're gonna look into. So one of the first ones that I noticed that has had a pretty large bump over the past few months is Charging Gaia the Fierce Knight. So over about 3 months ago, he almost had an 80% increase in his market value. 30 days ago, almost 20%, past week 7, past 3 days, 6%. So he's been going up a lot at about roughly $2 is his market average. So this can support that people are very excited about what's coming in Rise of the Duelist for Gaia, Cursed Dragon, Catapult Turtle. Another card that can support that theory is Sky Galloping Gaia, the Dragon Champion. Very similar bumps as the previous card, roughly 80% in the past 30 days, almost 40% in the past 30, 16 3 weeks, 10% 1 week, 42% in the past 3 days, and 16% in the past 24 hours. So this card is seeing a very constant increase. Now that is just in cents, but that is just showing the demand for the card. If the price is gonna go up, that means there's demand, which we can imagine there's gonna be demand as we go and open up Rise of the Duelist to where those cards should hopefully sell fairly quickly. Fluffles is another strategy that is beloved to a lot of duelists and are things that people are excited about, especially with MR5, with fusions becoming something that's a lot easier to accommodate. We have Fluffle Bear, which had almost a 60% increase the past 30 days, 52% in the past 3 weeks, 32% in the past week, and 48% in the past 3 days. Now, a lot of these bumps can be because of MR5, because we hit April, but with a lot of good cards coming for Fluffle and Frightfurt support in Rise of the Duelist, the demand is already high for Frightfurs. You can imagine it's gonna continue, and people are gonna be very excited for that new support, which we're gonna touch a little bit. And then just quickly going through, very similar, I just want to show you guys a lot of some of the hype that's going into the market right now for Fluffles. Fluffle Cat has seen some significant increases. Fluffle Mouse has seen very significant increases, 50% in just the past 3 days. Fluffle Octopus has had a lot of great increases as well. And then let's go ahead and talk about Dark Lords. So Dark Lords is one of the archetypes that is going to be getting some very good support. And Condemned Dark Lord is a new Link monster that just came out in Duel Overload and has been seeing some very large price increases, considering it is a card that has just hit the marketplace recently in Duel Overload. Addition to that, we have Dark Lord Amdusk, which has seen also some significant bumps in the marketplace. Same thing with Desire, same thing with Ishel, and the same thing with Morning Star. With Morning Star has actually seen some very large increases, 200% in the past 3 months, 150% in the past 3 weeks, has seen some small decreases in the past 3 days and a week, but overall, I would say that Dark Lord is an archetype that people are excited to play, and with Dark Lord getting more support in Rise of the Duelist, you're gonna imagine that those cards are gonna be fairly sought after. So guys, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I wanna stop and take a quick side note. So here are some cards that I feel have a lot of opportunity to go up in value based on what I've been seeing in the marketplace and what's gonna be coming in Rise of the Duelist. So once Rise of the Duelist hits, I can imagine that these cards are gonna have more value than not. Before I talk about some of the Rika cards that are worth investing in, there is gonna be a new Exes that's coming out of Rise of the Duelist, which is Stranae the Rika Queen. Her effect essentially reads that you can use an Exes material and pull a plant monster or Rika card from your graveyard to your hand. And if she's tributed, you can special summon any of your Rika Exes monsters that are level 5 and above from your extra deck to the field and use her as one of the materials. Now I feel that's very strong because Teardrop the Rika Queen is probably the boss monster for Rikas and is a rank 8 and is going down in value as we speak because of everybody most interested in Emancipators and Eldritch. And Rika Glamour is a card that can search for the deck, so it's essentially a Rhoda for the deck, and also tributes a monster, which is one of the trigger effects for Stranae the Rika Queen. Other things that I think are worth investing in are Heritage of the Chalice, I Sold, Banishment of the Dark Lords, and then just generic Fluffle and Frightfurs. Now, as you guys have seen, Fluffles and Frightfurs have been going up in value a lot in the marketplace. I could imagine they're gonna keep going up, so I would leave it to you guys to go and do some investigations into that archetype and see if there's cards that you feel strongly to invest in. And let me know down below if there's cards that you feel are worth investing in that archetype or any archetype within this set. So overall, I would score current card support buyouts and values as a 4, and the reason why is because I wouldn't say that there are a lot of huge groundbreaking support that's coming for archetypes. I think there's a lot of very good support, such as Rika that's coming for Dark Lords and for Fluffles, but I don't know how groundbreaking those strategies are going to be in the meta, and there's a lot of new archetypes coming, which is kind of why the score is a little lower. Because there's new archetypes, there's not a lot of current support, or at least direct support, that's out in the market today. But I would say it's very high considering a lot of the cards that are going up in value. So we're going to put this as a 4. Let's talk about consumer hype on social media. Right now, I'm just gonna show you guys a few videos on YouTube. First video, this one has come from Simo, and he's talking about 3 tactical talents, which we're gonna get into, which is probably one of the money cards that is gonna be in the set, the chase card for sure. It's not just Simo. Any video you guys look at, this card is just creating a lot of talk. This is gonna be changing the game as we know it, and people are either like very happy about it or very mad about it, because this is a card that's probably gonna be a 3 of in the side deck or main deck, and it's not gonna be cheap. So I probably wouldn't be too happy about it either, but you're gonna be buying it because if you wanna be competitive, you're gonna need it. So this is from Mega Capital G, and this is him talking about back in February when it was unveiled that we're gonna be getting the Gaia, Catapult, Cursed Dragon support. And I would say this is probably the thing that people are most excited about, because this archetype is now finding opportunity to become more competitive, maybe top some regionals. And then in addition to that, you're going complete nostalgia because it's Yugi. And it's a lot of Yugi's best cards in his deck, at least considering at that time and for the anime. So people are very excited about this. I can imagine that that is probably gonna be something people are gonna be chasing after and buying on all of the web platforms to make sure they get this archetype. Another one, so this is Kali Effect talking about the new Dragma support. And as you guys can see here, this is probably the new strategy coming out of Rise of the Duelist that has the most meta relevance that we might be seeing coming into the meta. It kind of acts a lot like Necros because it's very much against the extra deck, although it has some extra deck monsters that you're gonna pitch to the graveyard to get effects. But it's very much anti-meta, and I could see a lot of people being very interested in picking up this archetype. And as you can see, people are excited about it. I mean, we have people saying, man, this archetype is lit. People saying, can't wait for these cards. This is gonna be amazing, etc., etc. Now guys, that is just a sample of what's out there right now. There's a lot of videos unveiling of cards from Rise of the Duelist, and overall people are very pumped about it. So with that in mind, I'm gonna put this as an easy 5. So now let's go into multiple chase cards, which I would say is one of the key metrics for this analysis. So here's 2 off the bat that I feel are gonna be the money cards, or cards that people are gonna be chasing after, because there's gonna be more demand for it because it can fit into any deck or strategy. It can go into any side deck, any main deck. Forbidden Droplet is almost like a Dark Ruler No More, and I think depending on the strategy that you're playing, Forbidden Droplet may be a better option because you don't have to skip your battle phase like Dark Ruler No More, or not necessarily skip, but not OTK because you can't do battle damage. 3 tactical talents, everybody's talked about this, I'm sure you guys have heard about it. Essentially, if your opponent uses a monster effect during your turn, you can either draw 2 cards, Pot of Greed, take their monster, Change of Heart, or look at their hand and shuffle one to the deck, Confiscation. So it's a phenomenal card. It's 3 cards in one, and all 3 of those cards are banned right now. So it's gonna be something that people are gonna be very much going after. It's gonna be changing the meta as we know it. Catapult Turtle, so Bombarding Catapult Turtle. Now, I know people are gonna be chasing after this for the Gaia strategy, but I feel like it has more to bring to the table than just that. So you can essentially tribute a monster on the field and then special summon a level 5 dragon monster from your hand or deck. And dragons is a very strong monster type that Konami loves, and because this can specifically special summon a dragon monster, I think there's gonna be a lot of meta relevance for this card, which makes the demand for this card higher and not just for the Gaia strategy. Okay, so Lucifer, Dark Lord of the Morning Star. I kind of handpicked this one out of the Dark Lord support that's coming. I feel this is gonna be a card that people are gonna be very excited about for the strategy. Basically, it can do a blanket effect for all fairy monsters that you control to where they cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. And then not just that, you can use one of the following effects for him per turn, which is if he is fusion summoned using Dark Lord the Morning Star, again, which is one of the cards that has been skyrocketing in value, then you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls. And he's a 4,000 beat stick, which is already half your opponent's life points, which can basically help you OTK very easily with him. Or during your main phase, quick effect, pay 1,000 life points, and you can special summon a fairy monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Now you're going to be using material to get him on the field, so you can automatically go and bring one of those monsters back and then just continue into your combo. So I feel like he's going to be a very good card and one that people are going to be seeking after after, especially for the Dark Lord strategy. So then we have Fior de Lis, the Dragma Knight. I believe that's French, hopefully I said that right. This card is really good within the Dragma strategy. Again, it's against the extra deck. So if there's an extra deck monster on the field, you can quick effect special summon it to the field. And if you have a Dragma monster on your side of the field, you can negate a face-up monster effect that your opponent controls, which is powerful, and it also has a 500 buff for all of your Dragma monsters as well. So this card is a hand trap. It's easy to get on the field. Most meta strategies are bringing out extra deck monsters, and it can actually stop your opponent mid-play, especially if you're going first with this deck and already have a Dragma card on the field. And another really great card for this strategy, so again, I mentioned before that you're actually taking cards from your extra deck and bringing it to the graveyard. So Bastard the Ashen Dragon, if it was sent to the graveyard at the end phase, you can special summon or add to your hand a Dragma card from your deck. So that's pretty crazy. You can go ahead and just take a card, bring it to the field. Mingles really well with Fior de Lis, the Dragma Knight, and is definitely a 3-of in this strategy because you don't really care about your extra deck monsters, but you do care about this one and getting it to the graveyard. Fright for a Whale, and then a revamp on Edge Imp, which is Edge Imp Scythe. These are 2 really great cards for the Fright for and Fluffle strategy. So as soon as Fright for a Whale is special summoned to the field, you can target a monster on each side of the field and destroy them. And then not just that, you can target a Fright for or Fluffle monster on your side of the field. Send a fusion Fright for monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, and then that target gains that much attack. And you can even target himself for the card that's being targeted for the attack boost. So this is a very good card. It has a destruction effect, and it can help you OTK. So Edge Imp Scythe is essentially a polymerization, and he also counts as one of the materials that's being used, and you can basically fuse together a monster on your field or hand in order to bring out a Fright for monster. And then not just that, he also provides protection in the graveyard for a Fright for fusion monster to where he can banish himself to where it can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. And the last card on the list is Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Demonic Dragon. And the main reason why I put this on here, it's a generic level 8 that works extremely well with light and dark strategies, which can help you plus. And I also think it's worth mentioning that he is a chaos card. So he can basically help you excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if one of them is a light or dark, you can go ahead and put that in your hand. And also when he's in the graveyard, you can banish a light and dark monster from your graveyard and or hand, and if you do that, you can bring him back, but then he gets banished at the end. So he's very good for recursion, and he also helps you plus, which I feel is a very good card, especially in a light and dark type strategy. So overall, for multiple chase cards, I think some of the cards that I showed you guys are a little bit of a stretch, but some of the cards like Forbidden Droplet and 3 Tactical Talents are going to be essential and cards that people are definitely going to be going after. But then there's going to be things that are just a little unknown. I feel Dragma is going to be an archetype people are very excited about. Fright for Fluffles, I feel have a lot of potential. I feel like that generic Synchro monster could see a lot of play, but I'm putting it as a 4 because I don't think it's necessarily mind-blowing, but definitely some of the cards are, but looking at the entire set, I would say high is a safe number to put. Meta relevant now is our next metric, and it's a lot of stuff that we've already touched on. So just very quick, we're getting meta support with 3 Tactical Talents, Forbidden Droplets, small support for Emancipators, which I think is worthwhile. It's a spell card that I think is going to be used in the strategy. Dragma have a lot of promise, but I'm not going to put a lot of weight on that in this metric. I would probably put that in the potential meta relevance later in this video. And then Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Demonic Dragon, I think has a lot of meta relevance. And Bombarding Catapult Turtle, for reasons I already told you guys, it can special summon a dragon from the deck. So with that, very similar to the chase card metric, I would put this as a 4. I think there are cards that are going to be taking a lot of value in the set, which worries me a little bit, but I think there's going to be enough good cards in the set to where it should hopefully balance out the value so we are able to pull and still be able to profit without having to get cards like 3 Tactical Talents in every single box. So product value versus cost, because of a lot of the collectability with the Gaias, with a lot of the potential and support like Dragmas, with 3 3 tactical talents, Forbidden Droplet. You're getting very strong meta cards that are going to be in any type of strategy. Very similar to Eternity Code. We're still going to be able to get a lot of value from the cards that we're going to be pulling. So I wouldn't say it's very high, but I feel it is high. Going into collector's value, fan favorite anime support. And as I've already touched on, we're getting tons of nostalgia because it's Yugi support, guys. And with Yugi, you're going to be touching on the market from very nostalgic players from the very beginning up until now, because everybody loves Yugi. It's probably the most beloved character out of all of the Yu-Gi-Oh animes. And then I would also touch on the Marfei that is going to be coming, which you guys can see in the corner of the screen there. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want that archetype just because of how cute it is, although I do think there is some potential in that strategy for generic Beast Rank 2, but I think just because of the uniqueness of that archetype, people are going to be excited about it. So with that, honestly, Yugi alone makes this a 5 for collector's value, fan favorite anime support. So Rise of the Duelist, reprints value, rarity bumps. Now we would see this in a lot of side sets getting reprints. Now in core sets like this, we are not going to be seeing a lot of reprints or any at all, potentially. We don't have any information on reprints, so we're gonna go ahead and put this as a 1, which can bring down the value of this analysis, but I would take it with a grain of salt because in core sets you don't necessarily expect there to be a reprint. Influencer hype I have as a metric in here because believe it or not, a lot of Yugi tubers actually can get people very excited about certain cards, and I think the type of rapport that's happening on web platforms such as YouTube is very interesting to tie into a model like this because those people are called influencers for a reason. So going ahead and just looking up 3 tactical talents as an example, I would say this is probably one of the most hyped cards out of a set in a long time, probably very similar to Lightning Storm. This is being discussed everywhere and people are going crazy about it, like WTF Konami, and that's pretty funny. But and going and just doing a generic search of Rise of the Duelist, you can see that people are very excited about the Yugi support that's coming with the Gaia strategy. There's a Dragma archetype, a lot of talk on that. I've seen a lot of conversations with people and influencers being very excited about that, seeing a lot of promise in it. Fluffles, people are going crazy about Fluffles. I think there's a lot that this set brings to the table that get people very excited, and I think the influencers have been doing that very well. And I think from seeing the consumer hype in the previous metric, it ties together and it makes sense. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and put this as a 5. One of our last metrics, which is future meta relevance potential. We've already touched on this a little bit, but Dragma, as I've been saying, it's an anti-meta strategy and it's something people are excited about. People really love Necros, which is very similar as an anti-meta strategy, not really using the extra deck, at least as your boss monsters to bring onto the field. Dark Lords, I feel have a lot of potential with the Link monster that came out of Dual Overload with the new support coming here. I feel that there's going to be some potential there to where if they continue bringing support, Dark Lords might start seeing meta relevance, and I think there's a lot of really good effects that are coming out of that strategy. Marfei, I haven't done a lot of conversation on that, but it's essentially a generic Beast level 2, rank 2 strategy, and I think it could be used as an engine. I think there could be something that somebody's gonna figure out with Marfei. I would definitely recommend to consider getting a set of all the Marfei support that's coming. I feel there could be something that could come from this. I think it's very interesting. Frightfur and Fluffle, I think it's hard to say right now because I wouldn't say they're top meta today. But with this support coming, we don't know what could happen. It could start topping a lot of regionals, and I think it's something that we need to be considering. Again, the support for Rika, although it's only one Xyz monster, I think it's an Xyz monster that actually can help tie the strategy together a lot more. And Ancient Warriors is getting a decent amount of support. The Link monster that is coming inside of Rise of the Duelist actually helps tie the strategy together a lot, and I feel is very beneficial for the strategy altogether. Overall, I think future meta relevance, especially because this is a core set with cards that we haven't seen before and has entirely new strategies, a 5 going here makes a lot of sense. Now guys, looking at the entire analysis and plugging in all the numbers, Rise of the Duelist scores an 81%, and that is being drawn down a lot because of the reprint value rarity bump. I think if that was a perfect score, this would just be shy of almost 90% or so. I feel it's a very strong set to invest in. I would definitely be investing money in this set, but because of the push in Eternity Code coming out, I need to be getting some return first before I can start investing in more product. So if you want to go and invest in a product, you really have to do it at least 2 to 3 months ahead of time. So maybe there'll be enough time once Eternity Code comes out and I can start making some return and start feeling more comfortable in investing in another set. But if you guys have some money set aside, I think this is definitely a set that you guys need to consider investing in. Definitely one of the better sets that's gonna be coming out of 2020. Overall, a very good product. So guys, that's gonna do it for this video. What do you guys think about Rise of the Duelist? Do you guys think I got some things right? I got some things wrong? Am I overhyping, underhyping? I think this one's kind of a middle ground for me, and I think the scoring actually reflects that. But I think overall, there is gonna be value in this set, and there's a lot of really great cards that are gonna be coming out of it. So let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I hope you guys are staying safe out there. We'll see you in the next video. Hope you have a good one. See ya.